Hello, ATF agents who watch my YouTube channel. Um, I'm going to be making this little video about these guys down in Louisiana who got raided by the ATF and no arrest, no charges, or full warrant. And apparently it's just the ATF abusing the power. So I'm going to use my YouTube channel and, the 5 federal agents who watch my channel and use it, to disseminate, that we should be helping these guys. So let's start. Hi, all. I'm a longtime lurker of Reddit, but I'm finally deciding to post our story in hopes of raising a bit of awareness. This is the write-up from the GoFundMe my neighbor organized, with a few redactions and edits for clarity, as well as some new information that we learned since. On February 2nd, 2021, our home and small business were raided by the BAFTI, ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. My husband is, or was, the owner of a gun shop here in South Louisiana and with a still valid FFL. I answered the door to around 7 rifles pointed at my head and was physically pulled out by a female agent. Other agents then proceeded to handcuff my husband while he was still dressed in boxers and a t-shirt. As it was 9:30 at night, we were already in bed. Only after asking multiple times about why they were here, why they were there, and who they were, I was able to receive a response that they were there on a warrant. I realized that one of the patches bore the letters ATF. Eventually, 2 agents spoke with me on our back patio, allowing me to read a very partial warrant, around 2 or 3 pages of it. In the warrant, it stated that written and recorded statements gave them probable cause. The actual probable cause was not listed. They verbally told me that it was because we were selling guns without a license. Per page 36 of their publication, the selling part of all your personal collection is legal. No FFL needed. We have never removed firearms from the store to sell at shows and attended shows as individuals, not on behalf of the shop. Yes, we sell/trade out of our personal collection, but is not specifically for profit. In fact, we often sell more ammunition than anything else, which is our primary reason for attending these shows. Agents proceeded to remove almost every firearm from our home and business. They did so in the most abrasive way possible, throwing guns on the floor in piles, removing highly collectible items from their boxes, and essentially ruining their values. These guns weren't being flipped for quick profits, but were instead being held until we were ready for retirement in 5 to 10 years. Around 11 p.m., we were lucky enough to have an attorney arrive at our home, at which point we realized the warrant for the store was only for Suite B. The store encompassed suites B, C, and D, with D being a separate mailing address with a separate external entrance, and is connected internally by a fire door that remains locked, only accessible by an RFID key. Our cameras to the store were also shut off once the agents realized we had an attorney on the way to the house. This seems weird since their faces were already on camera. They were not doing this to protect their identities. There have been no charges filed, no arrests, and we still have not seen the complete warrant that would include the actual probable cause. We've since found out that the warrant is not actually sealed, but the magistrate who signed it won't release it to us. There were a couple agents who visited a few fellow FFL holders who are also friends of ours. They told them that the investigation was based on an LEO's funny feeling about my husband at a previous gun show where a gun was stolen from me from one of our tables and recovered that same day. Our collection was relatively large, but again, these guns weren't being flipped. Many of them have background checks associated with them from years prior, locked in safes, and are very clearly personal items. There were a few that were brought through private sales. Some didn't fit my husband's ideal collection of goals, and those were generally the ones that were traded or sold. As the As the agents were leaving our home around 4 a.m., one specifically said that they knew they hadn't gotten everything. Although this statement is true, they missed a fair number of items. It makes us wonder why they were there to begin with. They're seizing our items where it was incomplete. Unfortunately, the ATF subpoenaed most of the gun show promoters in our state, with all but one refusing our attendance. Also, because the store now has no real inventory to speak of, ammunition was already difficult to source in in quantities needed for a brick and mortar. We have had to close the door since we can't afford to pay rent on a non-operational store. Our two former employees quit their job the morning of the raid by clocking out at 9:22 a.m. These same former employees came back with the ATF that evening for the raid to unlock the shop and give them access to Suite D by using their RFID cards. We have them on camera the day or two leading up to the raid, stealing items from the shop, including a few boxes of ammunition, personal effects of my husband's, a black powder revolver, and a few other guns that were on the books. There is a lot of other video footage in the days before the raid showing a number of questionable actions. We trusted our guys to do right, and they did up until they didn't. It was not for lack of training. One of the former employees had previously worked at gun stores, was well trained on our systems, and both had access to a manual expanding every SOP. Both my husband and I were at the store almost every day last year because the sheer volume of people wanting firearms and ammunition. We also would arrive after hours to bring in inventory when stock was low and give direction for any tasks that needed to be completed to ensure the overall smooth operation of the shop. We communicated daily with the employees, answering questions and ensuring ordering and financials were handled. The ATF sent us the paperwork to file for our forfeited items about a week late. We filed for hardship, and some federal judge granted it. The agency has 90 days from the receipt of that paperwork to file another motion, extension, or whatever. We are about halfway through those 90 days, but believe that they will file something on day 89. Our case was heard by a grand jury about a month ago. We found out a bit about this by a fluke. The grand jury has yet to return a true bill or no bill, so at this point there is still no real news. Our lives are basically being held hostage by the ATF, who are essentially bankrupting us to ensure we can't fight back. Our attorneys have advised us against going to the media, but we are at our wits' end. We have very little income, and other than the ammo we sell locally and his monthly VA disability payment. We are both suffering from severe depression and anxiety. It is affecting our physical health, and anytime someone rings the doorbell, I have a slight freak out. I actually cried the first time we ordered pizza around the same night and went to get the door. I had been writing content almost full time, but can't really focus well enough to continue. I'm heartbroken to see my husband lose his collection in the business he worked so hard to build, and eventually be completely destroyed. Our lives are a complete wreck. Our dog isn't the same. And I don't know what I'm hoping for by posting this other than some awareness. I know the story seems a little sporadic, but there's so much that happened. It's hard to keep completely straight. Thank you for reading this, and I'm sorry for the long-windedness. Too long, didn't read. A small veteran-owned business with no prior problems with the ATF was raided by the agency, destroying our lives with no charges or arrests being filed. I didn't think so many people would interest or ask, but this is the GoFundMe, and here's the GoFundMe. I'll put both of these links in the description. So yeah, I wanted to make this little video and kind of show what happened to these guys. And maybe, who knows, maybe I'll be raided by the ATF next. That'll be fun. So, I don't know what their probable cause would be, but, if that happens, I'll be sure to leave a video. I'll be like, hey, I popped my cherry. I was raided by the ATF. Yeehaw. So, yeah. And I hope you guys like this video. And if you can, help these guys out. They're $5,422, so they're already $422 over their $5,000 goal. So, yeah, a lot of people a lot of people don't like the ATF, and yep. So, if anyone wants to do more research into these guys' story, I don't doubt that their story is correct and true, but more evidence would always be nice. So, yep.